Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Games Podcast. My name is Dennis Zen. I'm in studio with...
What's up, guys? It's your boy, Dorian.
And also via Skype, but not next week.
That's right.
Yo.
Caboose. He will be in studio next week. He's going to be checking out Mortal Kombat 11, checking out some other stuff. And then we'll be doing our games podcast on next Friday. Yeah. And he'll be on live in studio for the first time. So
yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's weird. We got a ton of video game stuff going on. We got the Resident Evil 2 demo next week. And the Rage 2 demo. It's like a video game week next week.
Yeah, seriously.
Which is good because it's been kind of a little slow lately. And so there's quite a few news topics coming. It's like a lot of things where it's like during the week it's just like slow, and then all of a sudden
it just all drops over.
Yeah, it all picks up. Oh, yeah. So the first topic I wanted to bring up, it's not a huge news story, but it leads into something else that we've kind of discussed before, but I want to talk with you guys about. So the PlayStation 4 has now exceeded 91.6 million units sold worldwide. Spider-Man is now over 9 million units sold. It's a big number, especially for a single console exclusive platform title. Mm-hmm. This is all good news for Sony, good news for PlayStation owners. Video game, it's just growing. It's still growing market, even though it's already huge. The question I have for you guys is, when should the next PlayStation, the PS5, which we presume that's what the name is, and the next Xbox be released? So Sony is not going to be at E3, so we can pretty much guess Sony will not be coming out with the system this year. Yeah. Maybe the year after. Xbox, we don't know. They could announce something at E3 and have something ready by, let's say, fall for the winter. It would surprise me a little because I think it's a little early. Mm-hmm. When do you guys think, or do you think Sony would want to delay to 2021? The reason I ask is I think that right now, because Sony has won this generation, it behooves them, it benefits them to remain in this generation as long as possible because they have the bigger installed base. They've got Last of Us Part 2 coming out maybe next year or this year, sorry.
Hopefully.
So to them, they want to stick in this because then they can sell video game units and they collect their licensing fees versus because everyone knows that consoles are actually it's a lost leader. You're selling them, but you're actually losing money on them. I mean, as the console cycle goes, you lose less and less money, and maybe you hit like a breaking even point. But even at that point, you're still trying to sell. That's why like all the consoles go down in price because the technology gets better and cheaper. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Caboose?
I'm thinking 2020. If we're aiming, like, there's no way PlayStation releases or reveals anything this year. Okay. It looks like they're kind of just taking this year off. Honestly, it also just depends as well, because we have The Last of Us Part 2, we have Death Stranding, we have Ghost of Tsushima. Mm-hmm. Are those games PlayStation 4 games? Like, are they going to be planned to come on the PlayStation 4, or are those games simply just being put on hold until that next generation console? I don't think they're for the next gen console.
No.
But I do think that they will just...
Along.
Yeah, and I do think that they will end up on those platforms, though. Like, they'll probably have, Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima end up on the PlayStation 5. But considering that those games are probably going to be coming out on the PlayStation 4 and hopefully within the next year or so, I'd say, definitely 2019 is not the year for PlayStation 5. I don't think that the same thing will apply for the Xbox. Maybe they reveal, like, hey, we're working on the new Xbox. But I don't think they actually release it this year as well. I'm thinking 2020 at the earliest, maybe even later for 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Caboose, because I know so many people just in my friend group in general that went out of their way to buy a PS4 specifically for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I think Sony's gonna like just take a little break, because I know people would be pissed if they release another PlayStation system at the end of next year, and people are like, bro, I just bought this PS4 for Spider-Man. Can you give me a little leeway time so I could see them dropping it? Hopefully like summer 2020, like in the fall 2020. But as for Xbox, same thing. I personally hope they don't release anything till 2020, because I just got an Xbox One, so I'm still trying to figure stuff out. So
catch up on some of the
trying to catch
exclusives.
up on. Yeah, I got a bunch to catch up on first. But yeah, I say the same thing. Probably 2020 for them as well if they do decide to release another console.
Yeah, and it'll probably be fall 2020 if anything, because like they usually would release the new consoles in the fall. It's right around the corner from Christmas, you know.
Yeah.
So everyone's getting ready to like buy new consoles and everything. It's a great way to kind of surge the sales real quick. So it'll probably be around the fall.
They do something like with the All-Star team they're assembling right now with the developers. Them doing like an announcement of like, this is our first new exclusive game for the and it's going to be on it's going to be on the next generation Xbox, maybe at the end of next year or something. I could see them doing something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean they already know they lost this generation, and they now look back and they see why. The funny thing is, you know, people will argue this, but the Xbox One, it was designed, and I think there was a few articles about this as well. It was ahead of its time, because the whole when it came out, you got a lot of flack for a lot of stuff that, quite frankly, everybody is totally using now, which was, remember, the biggest complaint, it's like a multimedia box, it's not a game thing. Guess what? Everybody's using that thing for Netflix, Amazon Prime, all kinds of stuff. And then another complaint was the whole like the used game thing, the whole like, it's actually cool where you have your game. Like I have my console at home and I have purchased some digital games, let's say like UFC 3. I can now download it here. I've already downloaded it here at the office and played it because it's under my account. So it's like this whole kind of like sharing or digital sharing, you know, it's all the stuff is like Xbox One. What year did they announce it, or did it come out? It was
2013 it came out. Okay. I don't know when it was announced.
Okay. Let's say 2013 it came out. It's 5 years later now. A lot of the stuff that they were geared towards has now become more mature and become, you know, a lot of the things that people were complaining about. I always found that funny because I was like, man, you guys are so entitled. Like people that were like complaining about this stuff. It's like, it's not like they were changing it from a game console. They just had these extra features that I thought were really cool. Unfortunately, I was one of the few people that thought it was really cool back then. But I do think that it benefits them to release as early as possible because they have, you know, they're losing this generation. They've already seeded it. So the next one is the one that they're going to start. I think the only issue is the games. They know that the games is the thing. That's the thing that they didn't quite prepare for, is the console exclusive stuff. And I think with all the new studios that they bought and are forming, I don't think those games are quite ready yet. So 2019 is a possibility, but most likely 2020, and PlayStation 5 could wait till 2021. But I don't know if they want to give Xbox a whole year head start.
They'll probably both come out in the same year.
Okay.
You know, I'm sure that somehow, some way, they've got that information on both sides. So if someone at Xbox knows, hey, the PlayStation 5 is projected for this year, they're gonna get to moving on that new Xbox to make sure it comes out in the same year, because that would end. You know, there would be no debate at that point if there's a whole year between one new console and the other, unless like the PlayStation 5 comes out with the ultimate lineup, then the Xbox would be a whole year ahead, you know, so it would be just such a major advantage. So they would probably come out in the same year, I think. If there's a new Xbox and a PlayStation 5 on their way, they're coming out right around the same time.
Yeah, and also we just had the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X come out.
Yep.
Not just, but you know what I mean, within the in terms of the console cycle, that all the both of those do 4K, and what's the next step? Because they're not going. The next generation console is not going to do 8K. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like 8K TVs barely are available, and they're super expensive. There's no penetration in the market, where 4K has penetration in the market, and so they'll probably stick with 4K, but just beef up the graphics, much like they did with just significantly more so than what the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro have. So I just don't see them, especially Sony, has in any rush to go that route. Now, another question I want to ask about these two consoles: you think it's going to be discless?
Oh, I hope not.
No.
There might, because apparently I don't know if it's been officially revealed yet, but it was rumored that there was going to be a brand new Xbox, not a brand new, but like an Xbox One X version without a disc slot.
That's cheaper.
Yeah, so they might do something like that, but I don't think that it'll be exclusively, they'll release the console without the disc port, because there are still plenty of people out there who like to have a physical copy of the game. Personally, like I wouldn't mind having a physical copy of the game. I usually just get digital though. For me, like I find that a little bit easier. But so like for me, if there was a discless version that was cheaper, I would probably just go and aim for that. But I don't think that they'll exclusively sell that. That it will just be an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think they will either, for two reasons. One being that people still want to use the discs for Blu-rays and for the new 4K Blu-rays. And then two, for the people who don't have good internet access, they're the bigger games, right? Like for me, like downloading Fallout, it took a while, but my internet was decent at home. It's great here at the office. I can't imagine someone who has lesser internet than me trying to get.
It took me like a while to get like a whole day, because my internet was rough at home. It took me like a whole day to get Red Dead, because I bought it online. I was like, dude, come on. So I'd rather purchase a disc in hand rather than having to go buy it digitally. But sometimes it just depends on the game, really. Like I'd rather have physical copies of, like, if it's a game I'm really wanting, then I'll get a physical copy. But if it's like I'll play it then digital. But I should have gotten Red Dead physical copy. I regret my decision for taking
two discs.
Which is unheard of in this generation.
Yeah.
The fact that Red Dead 2 is 2 discs means that game is massive.
Yeah.
It's beautiful too.
Yeah, great. It's good to hear you talking about it.
yeah, finally we can talk about it with you. Also, what was I going to say about this next coming generation? So we're guessing 2020, maybe in 2021, but it might not. I could see Sony wanting to do 2021, but being their hands forced to do 2020.
You think either of them are going to like invest more in VR or anything like that?
I thought we were going to get a VR unit with Xbox One X, because I was like, why are you coming out with a very significantly more powerful game console and not have it? From what I heard was that they did actually develop it, but they found that there just wasn't as much interest in the VR stuff, that they decide not to
hold off
to finalize it and sell it and whatnot.
The thing about VR, both from just the standpoint of actually the gameplay in VR games and in terms of ways you can market it, it's still got like a bit of a ways to go. Like VR is cool. When you play VR games, it's awesome.
Yes.
That is the best way to sell someone on VR is you have to experience it.
Yeah.
There's no real way I can tell you how good VR is until you put on a VR headset and you're trying out a VR game. So that's why, it's still like VR as a genre in gaming is finding its footing still. I'm sure it will, but I don't think that we're going to see too many crazy advancements on that just yet. I don't know how well the PlayStation VR sold. I don't think it sold extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's still a little bit of a ways to go, but I am excited to see where we can get to with VR and gaming.
Yeah, I mean, last year, like I mentioned in our top games of the year, VR really sold me last year. I mean, it helped that we were working on the Twin Peaks VR game, but just like delving myself more into the world. And I understand the limitations. It's not the experience, because experience is fantastic. I think it's the barrier of entry of cost, and the whole setup is more complicated. But, you know, as CS is just I don't know if it's still going on, but it was going on earlier. They had some new VR systems. I mean, the Oculus Go has been announced for a while, and that's the one where it's like only I think $200, and it's like a less powerful console. That one's mainly people want to watch like movies and TV and interact and stuff like. Right. But they announced this Oculus Quest, which is more powerful. I think it's $400, and that one doesn't require like the sensor boxes that like the HTC Vive. Yeah, it doesn't require that. It has, and it doesn't require a separate PC either. You just put it on the goggles, and you have the hand. See, that's the way you're going to get the regular consumers to utilize VR, because now they don't have to set up anything. There isn't this extra PC. There isn't extra stands. It's just you have this thing on your head and the handsets, and that's it.
It's like the Oasis.
Yeah. So it's getting there. It's, you know, it's going to take time. Yeah. Like with everything, but I do think that it will not be included with either one of the consoles, because then gamers are not wanting to pay extra or being forced to pay extra for it. I think maybe it might be something that either will be released at launch as a side accessory, or let's say this is coming the year after the console launches.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I
agree.
Yeah. Anything else about this subject? You guys think, you know, speculation, theories, rumors about the next?
I'm just excited to see, you know, when we get into this next generation, like how far can we push games, you know, before they're pretty much just real life. I want to see what this next lineup of games are going to be like, and I want to see Xbox get some exclusives out there. You know, I want to see them put out some cool exclusive games, and I'm sure that they're making the necessary steps behind the scenes right now to do exactly that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're rectifying the mistakes that they made in this generation. I mean, Xbox One definitely lost the kind of exclusive war. I mean, they had like Halo and Gears, but they didn't have what Sony had, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
nothing that really blew people away.
God of War, Spider-Man, you know, like these Last of Us Part 2, which I hope the next generation PS5 will have Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 in some sort of remastered series. Like they always...
Maybe. Last of Us 1 did already kind of get a remaster.
But like another one.
Yeah, I mean...
a 4K remaster.
I wouldn't complain.
A 4K remaster. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. This is something that Caboose you sent over. Maybe you'll explain it a little more. Destiny is taking over the publishing, Bungie is taking over the publishing of Destiny from Activision. Can you give us a little more details about that?
Yes. So they are officially splitting from Activision. So for the longest time, I think all the way back in 2010. Bungie signed on like with Activision to have Activision own the publishing rights to their games, to Destiny specifically. And while obviously it's all speculation, it's all rumors, but it's been rumored for a very long time now that Bungie hasn't been the most pleased with Activision, and they've kind of they've had a bit of a back and forth on how to handle Destiny. And I think one of the biggest mandates, one of the things that they always had to do because of, you know, Activision holding that control, was they always had to have some sort of massive expansion every year, whether it's a new game or a huge expansion. And they've lived up to that. But I'm guessing now that they're finally out of whatever contract they were under, they have finally, Bungie owns complete rights to Destiny on their own. this can only mean good things for the game. It means finally that whatever Bungie's vision for the game is what we are going to see. You know, there's nobody that can tell them, well, maybe you should do this. There's nobody that will tell them, well, you have to have content up by this time, so scrap whatever it is you're working on. It's going to take too long. They are completely free to make this game the way they want to. And that's a good thing, and that's something any Destiny fan, or even people who weren't a fan of Destiny from the start, should be excited for.
Yeah, I mean, Bungie, you know, who created Halo but then sold it off to Xbox. I'm assuming this deal was put into place like after they made the separation from Microsoft.
Yes.
Because, you know, they didn't have the publishing distribution, you know, anymore from
and
Microsoft.
Still a very independent studio at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they had to make a deal with one of the big boys, and that was Activision. So
Destiny was a very admittedly ambitious project, and there is a lot that is out there of what Destiny almost was, but couldn't be because it was just too big and there was just too much, and they had to meet a date, and that was unfortunately because of the way that Activision had handled things. So, you know, like there was even rumors out there. You know, Jason Schreier over at Kotaku said that when this was announced in the studio, they were like popping champagne and celebrating over the news. Which, I mean, I don't think that's in a negative way. I think for anyone, having full creative freedom over your project is a very exciting thing. So I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I heard that the Activision requested changes to make the game more mainstream, to appeal to a broader audience, where Bungie kind of wanted to more serve the hardcore fans.
So if you and they got a little more leeway. Sorry to cut you off, but they got a little more leeway as years have gone by. Like Destiny 2 now is like, it's really catered towards the hardcore audience of the game. So now that the handcuffs are completely off, I'm sure it's going to really head in that direction. But go ahead, Dorian.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask, so like for a fan like me who hasn't played these games, would you recommend me going back and playing these, or just hold off and wait until whatever game they release now that they're in complete control and start from there?
I mean, it's really up to you. The thing about it is, if you're jumping into Destiny 1 and 2, you're going to have a lot to try out and like go through. There's going to be plenty of content, and like, you know, the whole the system of leveling up and getting loot, it's fun and it's addicting, but it also could be worth waiting to see what Bungie's kind of first project, or if they put out a Destiny 3, what it will look like when they have that full control. Because I'm sure, you know, just like with what you get in Destiny 2, you can kind of jump in, you get a little bit of a run through of what you may have missed, and then you're all caught up and you jump in from level 1. Everyone will be in kind of that same boat. There really wasn't anything from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 where it was like, if you played Destiny 1, this carries over or anything. You still had to start from scratch. So I'm assuming we'll get the same with the Destiny 3. But if you're considering it, like if you're thinking about it, it's very like, there's a lot of different mechanics in the game. There's a lot to learn. And if you're into that, if you want to pick it up and learn all that stuff, then I'd say go for it. There is quite a bit of content there now.
Is it on Game Pass?
That's a good question. I don't know, Dorian. You have Game Pass,
I do have
right?
Game Pass, but I've been playing Red Dead, so I haven't been able to check. But let me look. Let me look.
Yeah. I'd assume it is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Game Pass, Amazon is reportedly working on a new video game streaming service. So much akin to what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass, and they have I think it's called Project X Cloud. I think Google's also doing a streaming thing as well. Basically, it's almost like cloud video game playing, where it's like where you're not so much playing like the game locally on your system. Your device, you're just using a controller that's like an interface, and all the processing is done in the cloud, but you're receiving the video back to you in almost real time, so that you don't.
So it's like streaming.
Yes, it's basically like streaming, like you know a Netflix, except for you're playing a game. I mean, there's a lot of, a lot more technical things involved because you're talking about, latency, you're talking about, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff where you just can't have that. Where when you're watching a movie, obviously you don't want it to pause or slow down or anything like that. But if it paused once for like a second or two, it's not the end of the world. If you're playing a game, you may have to start a whole level over or something, or if you're playing online, you may get,
Yeah, so it doesn't. So you can't download. It's just you're just streaming like straight up. I don't know how I feel about that because it's like you rely heavily. Like if I'm playing online, let's say me and Caboose are playing online or something, and I have dodgy internet and it just goes out all of a sudden. What am I? What am I going to do? Just I can't play anymore. So I don't know how I feel about that.
This sounds a lot like PlayStation Now. It's that it's like a streaming service thing on PlayStation where you can play like older PlayStation games, but you're only streaming them. Like you don't own them, and I think you're only even renting them. So it's not like backwards compatibility like you have on the Xbox One, where if I have an Xbox 360 game and it's available on backwards compatibility, I just pop in the disc or I download the game digitally and it's available for me and it's done. This sounds more like, I guess, you're actually just streaming the game the way you would stream a movie on Netflix.
Yes. And
interesting.
And this technology it's in the works. Like I said, Microsoft and Google. Google's is actually called Project Stream. Microsoft is Project X Cloud. Yeah, this is, I think, what they want to be the future of games, so that you don't. Let's say Dorian wants to play Red Dead, right? And he doesn't go. I don't know. The store's closed, so he can't go pick up a physical copy. Oh, and he doesn't want to wait to because you said it took like a day to download it.
Yeah.
You literally would just be like, oh, I want to get this game. You buy/rent it, and then you start playing away.
Is this just on the consoles themselves, or is it like...
No. Well, Amazon, I mean, the reason why they're doing this is that they want it to be so that you could do it on like a very cheap and not powerful interface, whether it's like through a PC or through some sort of like, let's say $100 like streaming box, right? Versus, because right now everyone plays on the consoles. All the graphics power, like your video card, your RAM, your processor, all that stuff has to be, very high end stuff so we can process all the stuff. Right. What they're doing is they're going to sell you a box like a Roku box or a Amazon Fire TV stick. And then all you're really doing is sending information, your input information, let's say from your controller, up into the cloud. They process it and their cloud servers are actually playing the game. The game's being played there, and then just the information is getting set back and forth with the video. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Because I know the PlayStation, I used to do it on my old laptop where you can play the game, hook up your controller, and then play the game through the screen if you're connected to the same Wi-Fi. And that was like all right, but it's still like a little laggy just because it's
I did that with my Xbox.
It's just so much to process. So I'm interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I do that with my Xbox One. I can hook up my Surface Book and with a controller, and I can just play, like I did it with UFC, and then I can like play on my Surface Book in my room, which doesn't have the Xbox. So in essence, that's what the theory behind it is. Just that works because it's a Wi-Fi network, and so it's relatively fast. The question is, can this be done with our current internet infrastructure system? Maybe not now, maybe in the future, and maybe it's one of those things that it's like, this is not going to be in the next generation, and maybe not even the generation after that. This is something
just something in the pipeline right now, I guess.
Yeah, and so Amazon wants to get their hands in everything. I mean, that's why that's why they have their own. They have because everyone knows them as they do. They sell products, but people don't understand, like Amazon, one of their biggest things, I don't even know if it might even be their most profitable thing. It's not selling stuff off their website, is actually their cloud service. They are AWS is the number one cloud service. So so they make a ton of money. Microsoft, I think, is number 2 with their cloud services. So it seems like a natural fit for them to be like, okay, well, we already have this technology, so let's see if we can get it to a point. Because then it's like, okay, well, maybe there's no need for consoles. It's just these streaming boxes, and then it's a much cheaper game to get into streaming boxes than actual consoles.
Right.
So, I mean, something.
And I could see it being beneficial for, like, if, let's say if you have an Xbox and a PS4, you don't want to have like Game Pass and like both the things. You can use this and go off and just switch back and forth and play.
Yeah, or if I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's say for some reason Amazon becomes a big player or even dominant in that arena, and let's say there are no more consoles, all streaming boxes, then maybe it eliminates, like, because the whole thing with the Xbox and Microsoft, Sony, and the PlayStation, and even Nintendo with the Switch, is they're building their own consoles for these games, and each one's different. It might get to a point where, like, oh, okay, well, the game developers just make the game. They stick it on Amazon, then you can choose any streaming box to play on, right? So, like, you have, like, whatever. So there wouldn't be, like, an exclusive Spider-Man title anymore. It'd just be like, okay, here's a title for whatever, and then anyone can stream/play it.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Because it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter, right? Because you're not doing any computing. All you're doing is getting the video and audio input and the controller interface being sent to them and back. So it's not the same. But like I said, it sounds like technology that's still quite a far away, but
I am intrigued. I guess I'll have to wait and see, when they officially announce it, how exactly this is going to work.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Google has it, Project Stream official game capture. Let me take a look at that. Yes. Oh, this is an ad. Come on. What is this ad for?
Sounds like something for like Clash or the Clans or
it's
something.
Like it's some sort of like hack and slash. Yeah. What is this? When you advertise a game, you should tell what game it is, right? It looks like some sort of fantasy game.
That's a long ad.
Black Desert, January 7th. Okay.
Out now.
Okay. Let's say 1080p streamed at 60 frames per second. I mean, right now they're just showing like that, the kind of okay. Yeah. So yeah. Someone's playing this. Who knows? I mean, they probably have really good internet, so that probably helps. But they're just showing the technology is possible. So it's, I think, something that we'll be talking about for years to come, and then when it finally comes to fruition, maybe there'll be just one box. It'll be like Amazon streaming box, and we'll all be on the same system. All right, there was a few, smaller news things that Caboose, you had covered over the week.
Right.
One of those being possibly a Batman Arkham game coming this year. Or what's the news on that?
Yeah, so a lot of this comes from stuff that's been talked about for a very long time now, actually. Like well over a year ago, it was rumored that WB Montreal, the folks who made Batman Arkham Origins, which was like a prequel to the Arkham franchise and everything, it was rumored that they were working on a brand new Batman game. And then alongside that, they were apparently working on a Suicide Squad game. The Suicide Squad game got canceled. The Batman Arkham game got like rebooted in its development, and we hadn't heard much for a little while. But within like the last 2 months, it's resurfaced again on what they're working on, because some employees actually working at WB Montreal were putting out some very cryptic tweets. One of them was a shirt that this girl was wearing as she worked at WB Montreal. And she said, redacted, this is the best dev team ever. And on the back of the shirt, there was a logo that looks exactly like the Court of Owls logo from the Batman comic books. For those who don't know, the Court of Owls, it's an awesome storyline for Batman comics. It's one of the best out there, like a group of antagonists, like this organization. So now everyone's thinking like, oh, we might be getting that new Batman game that's been rumored for so long, and the Court of Owls might be kind of the villains of the game. And then the creative director, Patrick Redding, ended up tweeting out during like close to the holidays saying, hey, happy holidays, and may 2019 bring you everything that you wish. And this was like coming right off of all this. It was like right off of all this speculation. Hey, is there a new Batman Arkham game coming? So now everyone's under the impression that this year we're either going to get a new game revealed or we might even just have one released. This has happened like 2 times previously with Arkham Origins. It was revealed and then released the same year. And with Arkham Knight, it was about to be the same thing, but then it got delayed. So it was initially revealed through Game Informer, and then it was planned to release fall of 2014, but then it got delayed and everything. So it could be the same situation here. We might see, March, April time, there's a Game Informer cover reveal, and it's whatever this new Batman Arkham game is, and it maybe could be coming out as early as fall of this year. So nothing's confirmed, though, of course. This is all just speculation and rumors, but just that the post of the T-shirt is what has me the most convinced, because the logo on that T-shirt is like 1-to-1 the logo of the Court of Owls. So I'm convinced that whether or not it's revealed this year, it's happening, it's in development, and it will be revealed sometime soon.
I feel like it will be revealed this year, maybe E3. I don't know. Maybe come out this year if everything's on track. Dorian, you excited about this?
Yeah, dude, I'm really excited about this. What I was thinking is maybe I feel like they're gonna release it this year just because they saw all the success from Spider-Man.
Yes, that's what I was gonna bring up.
And then we have not only do we have a Joker movie coming out this year, we also have, or Wonder Woman got pushed back, but it was already scheduled. I think they're saying that Matt Reeves' Batman is starting in November as well. So it's like wave. You got to ride that WB marketing wave. If we've got a Joker movie coming this year, why not release a Batman game? So I'm hoping they really do at least reveal it. At least reveal it this year.
I think reveals it for sure.
And maybe at E3 or something, but I'm so excited for this game. They better do something.
If they follow the track record of the 2 previous Arkham games, being Arkham Knight and then what we have with Arkham Origins, we'll probably get something through Game Informer. Like WB Montreal and Rocksteady, just WB games in general, they do things very untraditionally with the way that they reveal their games. They don't like the big spectacle. They just kind of like, here's the game. So we might get that similar situation, but I would like to see it. I think there's a very good chance it gets revealed this year. And whether it's coming out this year, that's still up in the air. We'll see. But I think there's a very good chance it gets revealed.
I was going to ask you guys, do you think like they saw the success of Spider-Man and all the buzz and all the crane go, hey, we're the ones who like basically reinvigorated this genre and created this whole kind of format and stuff. It's not like it hadn't been done before, but they were the ones who definitely took the superhero comic book and mixed it with this kind of format and design. Definitely Spider-Man for PS4 is definitely off of the Arkham series and go, hey, that's us, and so they are back at it.
Yeah, I think it's you go, Caboose.
Go ahead, Dorian.
No, I think it's a combination of that. They're like, oh wait, why are we not doing this? That's our like combat,
that's our thing.
That's our thing. Why are we not doing this? And I think they're like looking at it from. I think they took a step back and just we all have these superhero movies. I think they just forgot about, or they just were just taking a sidetrack. And now I think they're really focused, and hopefully we do get it, because I've been a big fan of the Arkham series, and now it looks like it is seeming like superhero games are becoming more prevalent, because it's with Spider-Man in particular. It wasn't just a video game; it felt like a movie itself. It's like storytelling and all of that. So if they are confident enough in getting the right writer or the right director for this game, they can create something really special and try to engross all the fans that are not particularly happy with the DCU, with how they're handling the Batman. So they can be like, hey, you're not getting a Batman in the movies, but here's a Batman on the video game that you can play with and become Bruce Wayne and do all that stuff. So I think it's a combination of all of that. So hopefully it does come out this year.
Dorian, is Spider-Man for PS4, is that your favorite game of all time?
It might be.
Okay.
I think,
and then Caboose, one of the Arkham games is one of your favorite games of all time, right?
Well, yeah. So before I think Red Dead 2, Arkham City was probably my favorite of all time.
Okay.
I love the Arkham franchise in general, and just like Dorian was saying, the Arkham games really, and just like you were saying, Dennis, as well, the Arkham games took superhero games to a point where finally we're done with the whole idea that in order to make a superhero game, it has to have some tie-in to the movies.
Yeah.
We finally got away from that, and then Spider-Man PS4 really, enhanced that and took another big step in that direction. So it's good that we're finally in this era of superhero games where like we don't have to tie into the movies in some way, just be your own thing, do something original with these characters. You have a whole sandbox, an entire universe to play around with. So play around with it. Don't be restricted by whatever movie's coming out that year as well. So we're finally in that era, and the Batman Arkham games definitely helped with that instrumentally. So it's gonna be great to see. I mean, I know some people might be sick of more Batman games. What is this? 5 games now? The 5th game in the Arkham franchise, if it is true, if it is happening. So that is a lot for sure. I would like to see some other DC superheroes get some cool games. But I mean, Batman's the bread and butter. The Batman is what's worked for the past 10 plus years for WB. So I'm sure they want to keep that going as long as new ideas are coming up and good ideas are coming up. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if rumors are true, this game has been in development for a long time. It's gone through a lot of hurdles, and it's even been to a point where they had something going and coming along, and they completely rebooted it. So wherever they are now, I hope they're pretty far in development. I hope they got something solid, and I want to see what it is, because if it's a Court of Owls game, that could be seriously cool. That could have a ton of potential. And if we're coming off of all the new mechanics that we got in Arkham Knight and just building off of that and enhancing from that, we can get the best Batman game right here.
And Caboose, I saw I think it was the actor from Gotham. He tweeted, he was like, "What if it was instead of a Arkham, it was titled Beyond Arkham, and it was about it was a series for Batman Beyond, and it's that character, and it's that character."
I was scared that you're gonna say that they're gonna make it like related to Gotham. I was like, no, people are not buying that.
Please don't stay away.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be cool. I would love to see them go full Batman Beyond with it. But based on what's been reported, I don't think it's going in that direction. But I mean, who knows? Like we really, honestly, at this point, we don't even know if it officially exists. It's just that based on all the teases, and it's not like it's coming from a random Reddit post or something. There's like concrete info here, coming straight from WB Montreal. So just based on that, I'm 99% sure that they're working on this Batman game, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what it's about.
As long as it's no Gotham influence, and we're all good.
As long as there's nothing to do with Gotham.
So speaking of Spider-Man PS4, another news piece that you dropped, talked about earlier on the Collider Games YouTube channel was Fantastic Four DLC teased. You want to give some details about that?
Yeah, so a couple of days ago, the Marvel Games YouTube page, they did a big live stream basically promoting the fact that the Fantastic Four are coming to a bunch of different Marvel games. So Marvel's got an awesome lineup of mobile games. They've got like Marvel Strike Force, Contest of Champions, and all these different games on mobile that I know a lot of my friends play them. And the Fantastic Four are coming to those games now, which I'm sure this kind of is in line with the fact that this whole Fox Marvel deal, this Disney deal is going on. And then at the end of the live stream, it was just teased. They simply said, one last thing that we can announce, something quote unquote fantastic is coming to Marvel Spider-Man. There was no date on when to expect it. There was no information beyond that. They just said something fantastic is coming to Marvel Spider-Man. So I don't know. I mean,
so it could be a DLC where there's an actual, but they had previously said that the last DLC was the last one.
Yeah.
People are saying maybe it's just costumes.
So in the comic books, there's multiple different costumes that Spider-Man wears related to the Fantastic Four. There's one, it's the Future Foundation suit. It's like all white with some black lining in there. It looks awesome. And from the comic books, it's when Spidey joins the Fantastic Four and they rename themselves the Future Foundation. So that could be it, because that's a really highly requested suit. A lot of people wanted that suit in the game. So honestly, it could just be that, and that's it. But there's also, there's the Bagman suit where he's wearing a Fantastic Four costume and a paper bag over his head. And even some people are speculating that they might add like the Baxter Building into New York. So one really cool idea that people have had is if you play Marvel Spider-Man, the opening mission, you take down Wilson Fisk. So he's in jail now. His whole building that's in New York is pretty much vacant. Like there's no work with that. So what if it gets bought out by Reed Richards or something, and the city gets updated with the new Baxter building in the skyline or something. That could be cool.
Damn, you just blew my mind.
Yeah, well, I don't want to take credit for that.
Okay.
That's all coming from the fans and everything. That would be awesome, though.
Yeah, maybe they'll right when the contract with Fox is up. That's when they drop. They're like, all right, guys, here, and then I hope it's a deal. I hope it's a DLC. That would be dope. But
hopefully it's more than just costumes.
Just a suit. Yeah, you don't something fantastic's coming. You don't say something fantastic's coming and just give us a suit, Marvel. You better throw some fire in there.
No, I would love for it to be a full-fledged, like, DLC, like what we got with Silver Lining, the Heist, Turf Wars, and all that. I think that's far-fetched. I don't expect that to happen, but I'd be pretty excited if we got a full DLC with the Fantastic Four in some way. Like, that would be so cool, because it's the only time in this game that we would have Spider-Man interacting with other heroes and not just referencing them.
All right. Before we have one more. No, actually, we have two news pieces. Sorry.
Okay.
One more is the animated Mortal Kombat. Is it a TV series or a movie?
No, it's a movie.
It's animated movie. So rumors on that. What are the details on that, Caboose?
So this is an exclusive coming from Revenge of the Fans, and they are reporting that there is an animated Mortal Kombat movie in the works, and there's like a full cast list basically listed. We got Joel McHale, for those who you might know him from Community. Jennifer Carpenter. We got Darren DePaul, Fred Tatasciore. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Gray Griffin, Ike Amati, Kevin Michael Richardson, Patrick Seitz, Robin Atkin Downs, Steve Bloom, who some people will know from the Mortal Kombat games, and Jordan Rodriguez. So it's a pretty stacked cast list. The only thing, though, that I'm hearing is it's not going to be like a feature. It'll be an animated film in line with a lot of WB's DC animated movies. We got a couple of Batman ones in there, things like the Flashpoint Paradox and stuff. So I don't think it'll be anything like a major feature film, but apparently there is an animated Mortal Kombat movie in development. So, which sounds pretty cool.
So something that's either sold like on Blu-ray, DVD, VOD, or eventually get to Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
That's dope. That's exciting because DC or the Warner Brothers in general, with their DC movies in particular, it feels like they knock it out of the park mostly all the time, and then you're just wondering like, why aren't they just using the animations and throwing them on as a live action story? So hopefully they can use this as an inspiration, because I know that Mortal Kombat live action movie has been stuck in development for some time, and they don't know what to do. So maybe if you use this as a bouncing off point, and then from there, if you get a positive reception, then you take that and put it on the live action screen.
Yeah, maybe we can get something similar to what happened to Deadpool, where people see this animated movie and it kind of gives them that itch for more. Like, hey, we can do Mortal Kombat as a film. Like, let's get this thing moving forward. Because, I would love to see Mortal Kombat as a movie.
Yeah. All right, last piece of news before we get into Twitter questions. Red Dead Redemption Online has gotten a new mode, a mode that is similar to Battle Royale. It's called Gun Rush, and it's 32 players, and it's a free-for-all. Well, they have team and free-for-all, and the map increasingly shrinks, but you can only use bow and throwing knives. And then you got to go scavenge for other weapons. So it's as much like Fortnite or PUB. Yeah. PUBG. So...
That's interesting. So it starts out like the Battle Royale mode that they already have, where you have bows and throwing knives, but then you can go out and get actual weapons and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. You start off with just your the knives and bow and arrows, and then you have to go like find other.
I wonder
weapons.
If there's stuff in this mode if you're playing with teams where like if your teammate gets knocked, like is he dead, or do you have the chance to revive him like you would in most Battle Royale games? I mean. Yeah, this is interesting. I think right now, I don't know, maybe some people in the comments or on the podcast feed can correct me if I'm wrong, but Red Dead Online is it's not performing like I'm sure Rockstar hoped it would. It's definitely nowhere near the success that GTA Online was. And people are not about microtransactions this time around. I mean, when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, it was a whole different era of gaming. and people were not as vocal, I don't think. But since then, we've had debacles like Star Wars Battlefront, both the first and the second game, you know, and we've had plenty of moments where consumers are like, all right,
good,
we're the ones buying your games.
Good.
Treat us right, which is absolutely good, for sure. You know, like, let's learn the lesson now that it's not about the microtransactions. You know, you made your money, Rockstar, off of that game. Like, you've made, what, $700+ million in the first weekend. You really don't need that much more. Like,
and also, if you want to make more money, like, I'm not against companies making money. What I'm saying is, then deliver something that people want to pay for, not like an extra coat of paint on something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't like it too that it's it may have changed a lot now. I admittedly haven't played Red Dead Online in a little bit, and I know they've definitely made some adjustments, which is good on Rockstar. But there was a point where it was like you had no choice. If you wanted to have the good stuff, if you wanted to have a decent horse, if you wanted to have, you know, a cool looking character, you had to spend money on the microtransactions. Either that or you had to play an insane amount of hours.
Yeah, those things should be stuff that you earn through games and not for an insane amount of hours or you know, a reasonable amount of time to earn those things. And then charge
microtransactions should be the last resort for anyone.
And also, I just don't like microtransactions. I want to pay $10, $15 for a DLC that adds extra missions that, like, now I'm playing this. You know what I mean? I don't want to pay for a gun because I know, so, you know, some guy, like, obviously worked on it, but it was just like, okay, here, you make this gun. We'll just make it super powerful, and then people will want to buy it. You know what I mean? It's just tweaks in code, right? You know, you do a new model and you tweak the code to make it more powerful. So no, not doing that. I don't know if they ever went through this, but I remember there was like Assassin's Creed Odyssey thing where, like, there was like you could pay so that your experience points would, like, go up faster.
Yep.
Like, come on, man.
XP can go up faster.
Don't do that crap. Don't do. Because it's not a limitation of, like, ooh, the developers had to work hard. It's like, oh no, they tweaked some code. Okay,
100%. Yeah, and I think another big problem too, just with Red Dead in terms of its player base and how many people are playing it, is it's released and it's launched in a not broken state, but an incomplete state. You know, it's just, I don't think there's any properties available yet or anything like that. So they're just. When GTA Online came out, it was a mess, for sure. You know, there was a lot of server problems, but there was still plenty to actually do. Whether, you know, microtransactions or not, there were still cars to go out and get. There were still properties to own and missions to go out and perform and everything. But in Red Dead Online, it doesn't feel like there is that much there yet, and that's because it's launched as a beta. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it could have benefited from them just holding off for a little bit. Maybe they could have also just delayed Red Dead 2, but I know that it's been delayed so much.
I think they could have just delayed the online part, you know what I mean?
They could have.
You know. But
I think they did want to get it out there just because they didn't want to get to a point where no one was going to play it because they all forgot about the game. So they just put it out there as quick as they could, and they were like, okay.
Because they wanted the microtransaction money.
Oh, yeah.
They want that money.
Oh, yeah.
If they weren't thinking about that, they could have delayed it longer. So
I still haven't gone online yet. I've just been.
I would play the single player first. I mean, I played online. I had a lot of fun. Me and Caboose played. It was a lot of fun. Now, to be fair, I found it, even though, you know, it's not as complete as, you know, we want it to be. It's a beta. Still a lot more things to do than in Fallout 76. So.
Oh yeah.
So
that is no question.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did have fun playing it, and I will come back to it again. I think
you find a way every podcast to sneak in a Fallout 76.
Yeah. I know. Well, I feel like at this point I should just wait for a few months and then play it, because that's when the game will be
up to par.
Or much more realized in terms of, you know, because we talked about this last week about how they were going to add new vaults, they're going to add a PvP mode, they're going to add player vending, so all these cool things that are coming to it. It's just like this all that stuff should have been done before, and like I said, if that was like an add-on to an already single-player campaign, that's a different story. That's why I give the Red Dead Online a much bigger pass. I mean, minus the microtransaction crap. Yeah. But I give it I got my money's worth out of the game, you know? Mm-hmm. This is just something, a bonus extra. So I'll give them more leeway on that. Before we get into Twitter questions, Dorian, played any more Red Dead?
I have been. So what I've done so far, or I guess recently, is I went up to this mountain. I had to get somebody's brother. Her brother, and I got him, drove him back down.
What chapter are you on?
I think I'm on chapter.
Wait,
huh?
You got Micah.
Yeah, Micah.
Right?
No. He's talking about the what's her face?
Well, they were doing like church. They were like doing some spiritual stuff.
The cultist.
Okay, yeah.
The cultists.
Yeah.
So I've done that, and then I just went to, or before that, I went to a house, and we went to the Driscolls, where the guy we kidnapped and we held, he took us to the place.
Yeah.
We shot them all up and killed everybody. I love fighting. I love not fighting, killing people. I love like how you can use the little eagle eye and just like scope out everybody and just everybody gets it. So that's.
I can't wait to watch the podcast and see what you just did there.
Did some air guns, but that's where I'm at right now. And then I had to take a break because I've been watching The Punisher, which our review is up on Collider Video right now. So that's what I'm
non-spoiler
doing.
Review.
Non-spoiler review.
See it?
Yeah.
Can I see it?
I mean, I can send you can borrow my account, but it's not. You don't have to wait till it comes out. It's not. Don't rush. It's not that serious.
Fine.
All right. Let's move on to Twitter questions. What do we got?
All right. So we were already on Red Dead, so I'll start with this one. Gain Olin says, "What would your ideal DLC for Red Dead be? Zombies, hunting Bigfoot, or perhaps Cowboys versus Aliens?"
Oh man,
Cowboys versus Aliens sounds awesome. Yeah, I want anything that's out there, okay? Because with Red Dead 1, we got Undead Nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's one of the coolest, most fun, most ridiculous DLCs we've ever gotten for any single-player game, especially considering how serious the story is for Red Dead 1. So I would love to see them do something like that out of the box, just something crazy that embraces that Rockstar style where they have those little alien Easter eggs or zombie Easter eggs. So either give me an Undead Nightmare 2 or Cowboys versus Aliens, because that would be freaking amazing.
Yeah, I would go with either one of those purely for the fact that with Bigfoot, there's only one Bigfoot, right? Yeah. And you got to probably chase him down.
We already dealt with him in Undead Nightmare.
Yeah, and I don't think it'd be that long. So I'd go with zombies or cowboy. Maybe Cowboys and Aliens just because it's something different than Undead Nightmare.
Probably pick that as well. Cowboys versus Aliens. Okay. Mario PR05 asks, do you expect GTA 6 to have some of the characteristics and style of Red Dead Redemption 2?
I'm trying to think.
I don't think so. I think it might take some certain mechanics. But GTA has its own style and Red Dead has its own style. We didn't see... we did see sort of a variation of Deadeye in GTA 5, I guess. So, I mean, it couldn't hurt. A lot of the mechanics in Red Dead 2 work pretty well. So if they take that and maybe build off of it in a Grand Theft Auto 6, then, yeah, I mean, I can see it.
Probably less style and more gameplay mechanics for certain aspects. So.
Right.
All right. Graham asked, what could be a dark horse game of the year this year?
Dark horse? Well, I mean, the front runners are going to be Last of Us Part 2, Cyberpunk 2077. I called it 2099 in our most anticipated episode, 2077. I'm trying to think.
Doom Eternal? Doom 1 got a lot of praise. I think it was even up there in those Game of the Year nominations. So if they just continue to improve off of what made Doom great and just double down on that, then Doom Eternal, I don't know why I keep mispronouncing that, could be that dark horse pick.
What's that? The Obsidian game, Outer Worlds? Is that what it's called?
Maybe
that one. Just because of the pedigree of the developers. I mean, obviously, like I mentioned, Last of Us Part 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 and Anthem, and those are all the big ones that people are expecting to do very well.
Yeah.
So maybe Outer Worlds.
We're still waiting to see if they're out this year, you know?
Yeah, ask us this question again in like a month, and we can once we get a better slate of what's going on.
Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. Sorry.
Yeah. That was actually the next going into the next question. So Michael Garcia asked, if Kingdom Hearts 3 does good, do you see more Kingdom Hearts games being fast tracked, or is this franchise forever stuck in Square Enix limbo?
Square Enix limbo.
Yeah.
That's just Square Enix.
They just take a long time between the games, so I don't expect that to, And
if it does well, then they're definitely going to hold on to those rights and be like, okay, maybe we'll make another one, or maybe they even want this to just be the end of it. Well, we'll see.
They don't seem to like the fast track stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we kind of already answered this one, but I'll read it out because he sent in the question. So what do you guys think about the Bungie splitting off from Activision? Are any of you fans of the Destiny series? I personally think that them going their own way bodes well for the future of Destiny.
Yeah. We talked about how now that kind of some of the corporate strings are off in terms of, telling them what they have to do, and maybe this will be a good thing.
Yeah. All right.
As a fan of Destiny, it can only mean good things.
Bet. Now, Joel Blade JTR asked, do you plan on doing any live streaming gaming in the near future? Would enjoy seeing you live stream some of the upcoming games like Resident Evil 2 Remake.
We always plan to. It's just we're so busy here, and to be honest, we don't have a dedicated station. So I think in order for this to be a more frequent thing here at Collider, we need like an area that it's set up just for that.
For streaming, yeah.
Versus like, when we want to do it, we have to like set up. We could do all this other, you know what I mean? Like for the Call of Duty thing, I remember this whole podcast room turned into, you know what I mean? It just took a lot of work. Every time we want to stream something, which it shouldn't be, we should just have a dedicated area. And that's something we want to work towards. So I think once we can have that thing where we literally can just be like, turn it on and start streaming versus the whole, okay, let me set up this and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe we can do some live streaming of some Mortal Kombat or something when Caboose is here next week. Maybe we can.
People don't know. Like we streamed the Fallout 76 beta, and we streamed
Spider-Man, Call of Duty.
Yeah. But like the Fallout 76, I had to set up that whole thing in my office. It took like forever. And my office isn't huge, so like to get around the TV, I don't know. Like me and Jack were like stuck in there, Look, a lot of fun is just a lot of work, and it shouldn't be a lot of work. It should be kind of turnkey. So once we get that turnkey system going, then we'll do more.
Right.
All right, and this is the last question.
Okay.
This is on terms of Overwatch. He says, I know it's a touchy subject, but why are people so angry about Overwatch's 76 character being revealed to be gay? Personally, I think it was handled wonderfully, and I think it's great to have representation with modern VG characters that people look up to.
I don't play Overwatch, so I don't know the character. And was it an existing character that they're like, oh, by the way, he's gay?
Kind of one of the main faces of the game, Soldier 76, and then it was just recently revealed. I don't know where, but I just know it was recently revealed that the character is gay. And honestly, like, it doesn't affect gameplay at all.
Like people are getting
you jump in and play Overwatch, and that's it. Like, there's nothing.
The only way I would complain about it is if, like, for the character, and I don't know this game or whatever, like some storyline that basically told you he was like had something, and then they retconned it and changed it. But if it's something where it was ambiguous anyways, like I'm assuming this character was not like James Bond running around sleeping with a bunch of ladies.
There's no way to really know. There's no story to Overwatch. It's a multiplayer only game. They just add lore through like videos and stuff. So like,
so no big deal.
It's no big deal.
I would have thought it would be a bigger deal if it was like they've already established something and then they retconned it.
No, it's just he's an animate like they did in the back of the animated DLC.
Yeah, people get upset about a lot of stuff. So,
but that's pretty much it.
That's the internet.
I mean, that's the last of our questions.
Okay.
All right.
So that's it for this episode of the Collider Games podcast. We'll be here again next week, but Caboose will be here live. We'll have a lot of stuff.
We'll be there live.
And then depending on and we'll talk about this in a little bit, about the embargoes for certain things, see what we're talking about next week. Dorian, where can people find you?
You guys know the deal. You can find me on Twitter at Dorian Parks and Rec, because Parks and Rec is better than The Office, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine just premiered, so go watch that as well. And then on Instagram, you can find me at Dorian Parks.
Caboose?
I agree with Dorian, by the way. The Brooklyn Nine-Nine premiere was amazing. I loved it. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CabooseEK, and right here on the Collider Games channel, bringing you the latest and greatest in all gaming coverage.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games, where the podcast comes out every week. And then we also have a bunch of news videos, walkthroughs, and guides and reviews that Caboose has been doing. And make sure to subscribe to the Collider Factory podcast feed. That's where this podcast is every week. And we have a bunch of other podcasts for Movie Talk, Jedi Council, Heroes, sports. I do a MMA show there. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.